Oh man, you guys. So I want to talk about digestion today. You want to hear a funny story? I did quite a bit about digestion yesterday, and I found out that my mic wasn't even on. I was so mad. I was so mad. So I'm like, well, you know what? It all works out for the good. Maybe this one is going to be even better. So, got my new background and I'm wearing my bile colored shirt, my puce shirt, because I want to talk about digestion today and how amazing it is. It is one of the pillars of nutritional therapy. It's something that I'm passionate about optimizing, working on myself. I saw a great improvement. I'm still a work in progress. I am not perfect by any stretch. I feel like we're constantly learning new things. Our bodies are so amazing, and I just want to share that with you today. Why is digestion so important? I could honestly talk about this for hours. It is one of the foundations because so much of our body systems depend on optimal digestion. It affects hormone health and regulation. It affects your thyroid health, which your thyroid is basically the thermostat of the body. So, metabolism, being able to regulate body temperature, that affects your sleep, which can affect all this other stuff. It affects your mental health, your mood. You've got microbes that communicate through our vagus nerve that goes from our brain through our enteric system and basically intertwines throughout all of our guts. And that's why when you're nervous before, say, you're doing a speech or something like that, your stomach feels a little bit, ugh, you don't want to eat anything. That's because your enteric nervous system's like, fight or flight. Our thoughts and behavior can affect how we're digesting, and likewise, our digestion can affect our thoughts and behavior. There are plenty of medical papers out there that document how brain function pertains to your gut and your gut health. If there is an overabundance of, say, candida, you can get lots of irritability, even paranoia. You can have depression, anxiety. These things are real. Modern medicine really irks me because I've worked in it my whole career. And there were so many things about it that along the way I just felt like, this doesn't seem right, you know? And it's because it never looked at a person as a whole. That's why I named this Holy Heart Nutrition, because we're a whole being. And so it makes sense that all of our systems would integrate into each other. Doesn't that make a lot more sense than, well, the stomach does this and that's it. And then this happens and that's it. It's not a linear thing that, like, well, your brain is your brain and that does everything, but, your stomach's different. It all communicates with each other. And it's amazing how it does it. So, speaking of the brain, I always like to let my clients know that digestion starts in your brain, not in your stomach. It starts in your brain because your brain is what is going to determine what turns on and what turns off. Now, there are a couple other mechanisms that need to be functionally working in order for different enzymes to turn on and turn off along the way, like in the stomach. But even before that, the stomach needs to get turned on by your brain. There's always a cascading effect that happens. So when you think about eating, think about your favorite dish or your favorite restaurant, or think back to that seafood platter and we had oysters and it was really good and it had that spicy sauce that I love. All of a sudden, your mouth starts to water. That's powerful. That means your brain is starting to engage. Now, it's even more powerful when you are sitting, you're smelling if you can be part of the cooking process, even better. But just start appreciating and being present when you're eating. We were not meant to grab a banana and run into the car while we're yelling at our kids and honking at some jerk to cut us off while we're shoving a banana in our mouth. That is not eating, that's not digesting, and it's not going to do your body much good. So let's not do that, okay? If you're going to eat, first of all, listen to your hunger cues. Don't just eat because, well, it's lunchtime, I should probably eat. Don't eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. Listen to your body. Let your body guide your way. When you're hungry, your body is releasing what's called ghrelin. You can think of ghrelin as making your stomach go grr. So you are going to be hungry and seek out food. When that happens, make your food. Try and make it as nutrient dense, whole food based as possible. We want to focus on a protein, a good healthy fat, and a carb from fruit or veg. And we want to be present. We want to be sitting. We want to be smelling the food. We want to be grateful for it. maybe say a little prayer over it. What that's going to do is calm our mind, and your mind is going to then give the message to your mouth to start creating saliva. Saliva is not just spit. It does so much more. It's got digestive enzymes that will start to break down your food, and everything is meant to be a baton pass and going the extra mile for the next process in the body. Our whole body does that. It compensates for the next thing, and that's why there can be a cascading negative effect when something's missing or there's a functional problem. If you chew to the point where your food is a smoothie consistency, you will notice that your food starts to like disintegrate in your mouth. I can't describe it, but if you really pay attention, close your eyes, chew your food for about 30 bites. You're really going to want to swallow it earlier than that, but just trust me, try this exercise. Chew your food while you're closing your eyes for 30 chews. You're going to find that half of the volume is going to suddenly be gone without you having to swallow. It really is kind of cool. So don't shove a bunch of crap into your mouth. I'm just saying that normal bite, chew, 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 and you're going to start to see when that occurs. And I think it's a magical thing. It's something that I'm still fascinated with. I'll just be sitting, chewing my food, looking like a weirdo, but I'm just in awe of the human body. So then it's on its way down to the stomach, right? And in an optimal setting, the stomach is acidic, purely acidic. It's supposed to be 1.8 to 3.2, and that is burned through this desk hydrochloric acid. There's a reason for that. It needs to be that way. If it's not acidic enough, sphincters won't close, they'll relax. They won't get the message to keep that acid in the stomach. They'll relax. And then that quasi-acidic hydrochloric acid will start coming up back into the esophagus. That's why when you have things like GERD or heartburn, or you have esophageal inflammation or reflux issues, you are getting acid still up into your esophagus, but it's not acidic enough. It's acidic enough to start eating through the esophageal tissue, of course. It's maybe a pH 4 or 5, still very acidic, still very irritating, but it's not that 1.8 to 3.2 that we really need. When your stomach is that acidic, those doors will shut. You will not have heartburn. It will disinfect your food. So any kind of pathogens or microbes are nothing's going to survive in that, including H. pylori, by the way, which is the true cause of stomach ulcers. It's not the lie that we've been sold that, oh, your stomach's too acidic. It's a very rare case where you're super, super acidic, where it's like 1.0. That's a very rare thing, and it's something I've never seen, to be honest. The problem usually is that it's just past that little range that your body accepts. So in a range of, say, 3.5, 4.0, H. pylori has learned and evolved to survive that environment. So what happens is it starts to burrow, it starts to cause all these issues, and that's how you get ulcers. H. pylori is usually the cause of most stomach ulcers. So the anecdote is to reacidify the stomach. It is not to take a PPI and turn off your stomach acid. As I said, not a doctor, okay? But I will say, if doctors are being honest with you and they read the fine print of that PPI that they're telling you to take, it says right on there, this is not intended for long-term use. So please don't take PPIs for longer than, say, 2 to 4 weeks. That is not something that's going to help your body in the long run. You need your stomach very acidic. You don't want to be turning off these proton pumps. You want them to be working optimally, to be creating enough acid to where those sphincters will close and you will not be getting that reflux. You want to be disinfecting your food. You want to be also releasing the proteolytic enzymes because of that acid. Then you'll be absorbing things like B12. You won't be dealing with anemia and other issues when you have a B12 deficiency. So there's a ton of things that need to happen in the stomach in order for the next set of things to occur. Optimally speaking, we are then transitioning from digested chyme from the stomach that now gets dumped into the first part of your small intestine. This is called the duodenum. And the duodenum is specialized in that it can handle the acid, but it's meant to be a neutralized zone. And so what happens in this beautifully specialized part of the small intestine is it has specialized cells that then give your gallbladder and your pancreas the memo that says, hey, I have some really acidified stuff here. I really need you to neutralize it. The gallbladder squeezes into action with bile. Bile emulsifies fat. Bile also helps us detoxify certain byproducts of the liver. We need bile flow for sure. Bile is made in the liver and it gets stored in this beautiful organ called the gallbladder. You can think of it like a squishy paint container. If any of you guys have kids, you'll know what like those little acrylic Crayola paint jars are. They're plastic and you can literally go and like just squeeze them out onto a piece of paper. That's essentially how the gallbladder functions. It's going to excrete the amount of necessary bile that is needed. If you're having a high fat content meal, it's going to release more bile. We're looking at good fats versus bad fats. If you've had a diet that's been high fry food, lots of seed oils, lots of really inflammatory fats, those are things like margarine, things like highly refined oils, Crisco, Mazola oil, like all of that canola oil, soybean oil, those are extremely inflammatory and they're very hard to break down. These highly refined products that over time create this environment in your body where you're losing your stomach acids. The foods you're eating is not nourishing to that environment. It's having to work extra hard. That acid is no longer giving the gallbladder that signal of, hey, I need some high quality bile here. So you're getting this sludginess over time where the gallbladder is never being stimulated. When you have a sedentary lifestyle, high sugar, high refined fried food diet, which is most of us that grew up here in America, you get a gallbladder that gets real lazy. Over time, you can develop stones. And what is that but just bile salts that turn into these different sized stones depending on how long they've been there? To a point, we can reverse it. What I recommend then, if you have no gallbladder, you will need something to help you digest your fats. There's a product that I recommend to my clients that no longer have a gallbladder, and this will help you break down the fats you're eating. It'll help you break down the proteins and things, just help you digest better. Because unfortunately, if you have no gallbladder anymore, you might find that you have alternating symptoms of diarrhea, constipation, a combination of the two, one or the other. Everybody is different, but generally you're not having good digestion. So if you start taking that product, that generally helps. Obviously, the optimal thing is to try to save the gallbladder before that happens. But there are lots of things we can do to nourish your gut back to health, and you can live a perfectly normal life without one. Now, with the pancreas, you can also find that over time, the pancreas isn't getting that message. You're not getting the pancrealipase expulsion. You're not getting the bicarbonate expulsion. You're just getting this quasi-neutralized, maybe still a little bit acidic chyme that comes through, and it really just irritates the small intestine. You really need to look at what is your lifestyle? What are your goals? What is your history? What's your experience? How many times have you taken antibiotics in your life? Most of us have some form of microbe imbalance. We call that dysbiosis. We really want a good mix. We've got trillions and trillions of bacteria in our guts. Okay, once we start really absorbing the food that is in our small intestine, that's where about 80% of our absorption occurs. It's so beautiful because this is a really long piece of tube that if you were to stretch it out, I believe it's somewhere like around 20 feet, but it's very long. Just know that. It's not just this smooth tube. It's like if you were to take a blanket and scrunch up the blanket, so it's like this, you have to have a lot of blanket in order to do that. But then on the surface of the blanket, there's also even more ridges and then more ridges. I mean, it's amazing the surface area that's in your small intestine, if only to just get every last nutrient out of what you're eating and to really help your body optimize your immunity, your nutrient intake, and be able to take that to wherever those nutrients are needed in the body. It's a beautiful system, but as I said, things can go very wrong when one thing's out of place. We move into the large intestine. That is where your poop is now almost a complete byproduct. We've got lots of microbes, even more microbes in the large intestine. That's why our poop smells. It's not supposed to smell that bad. I mean, it's supposed to smell like poop for sure. But if it has an extremely foul odor or it smells almost sweet, those are all indications that something is definitely wrong. And you know what a foul odor smells like. If someone's got issues in their gut, you're going to know. In fact, you're going to know. You're going to be disgusted by your own fart. It's so funny how people don't mind their own farts until like it's really bad one day and you're like, oh man. Maybe we need another GI map test on that one. Anyway, I digress. The large intestine is now excreting all of the water out of what you've eaten. It is reabsorbing that into the body. If it is taking too long to do that, you get really dry poops, like pellet poops. It's taking too long. That might be due to being sedentary, might be due to dehydration, it might be due to a lot of things. Medications obviously can cause this as well. That is unfortunately very common. So that is an issue that we try to optimize. On the opposite effect, not taking enough water out and it's rushing it through, your body could be doing that for a few reasons. It could be that you have pathogen in there that your body's like, abort, and it just wants to get rid of it. So you have diarrhea. Usually what happens when we get things like food poisoning, your body is so good at identifying a threat and mobilizing your immune system to get rid of it. It tries to attack it, tries to get rid of it as soon as it can. It increases the amount of water in your stool, and then all of a sudden you've got watery stool or diarrhea. It's a protective mechanism. Not something we want you to have for more than 2 to 3 days. You're going to be losing lots of electrolytes. You're going to be losing a lot of fluids. We want you to lose fluids in a normal way that your body is happy to get rid of, not forcing it to get rid of. With all of that said, are we giving our body that chance to eat with intention and with presence? Are we enjoying our food? We don't want you following some diet that's going to make you miserable. We want you to find the foods that nourish you. I know that beans and legumes, I feel very nourished when I eat them. I eat lots of soups, lots of salads with beans and legumes added to them because it's another form of fiber that I'm getting. Fiber is actually another great addition through fruits and vegetables. Most of us aren't getting enough fruits and veggies, but those give your body and microbes the fiber that they need in order to thrive and to optimize your digestion. And when you feed the microbes in your gut, they will then give you things back, like being able to absorb food, providing food for other microbes that you need. It's a symbiotic relationship and it's a beautiful one. So we want to optimize our stomach acid. We want to optimize our food habits. We want to optimize the gut microbes that are in our gut. We want good bacteria. We do a GI map test. I don't like to guess. I like to test. When we run our GI map, that is a DNA PCR assay that gives you a 5-page review of what is going on in your whole system, including H. pylori, strains of H. pylori, whether or not you are allergic to 4 different types of antibiotics so that you know which one you should take. Very helpful information. It's extremely specific, it's extremely accurate, and that's why I love the GI map test. It gives us a breakdown of what we call commensal bacteria or bacteria that you'll just find in your gut. There are certain keystone bacteria that you need, and it'll give us a breakdown of those. It'll give us a breakdown of your inflammatory markers, calprotectin, secretory IgA, that'll let us know how your immune system is functioning, zonulin, that is a key indicator for leaky gut. There's just a slew of information. So if any of this sounds like something you would like to look into, I would love to work with you. My package does include 2 GI map tests, one at the beginning and one at the end. It is at least a 3-month program because your body needs that long in order to reset. It also includes a food sensitivity test so that we can see what is irritating your system so that we can come up with a truly customized plan for you. All right, so I hope this answered some questions you might have about digestion. I'll see you on the next podcast where we will talk about blood sugar regulation.